Welcome, Aisha Hendricks and Sadick Sallie.
Yes.
Pronouncing it right?
Sadick
Sallie from Reem, Racial Exclusion Employment Equity Movement. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. You come from Woodbank and from
Eldorado
Park. I got a lot of family in Eldorado Park. Where?
That's where most of the colours grew up.
That's the biggest coloured township in Gauteng, eh? Is it?
Yeah, it is.
It should be. I think it is. It's the biggest one in Gauteng. So yeah, welcome guys. You guys are doing good work, difficult work, which I'm not sure I would want to do, but we appreciate what you guys are doing. It. I think maybe what's starting. Tell us. Introduce yourself. And why you got it? What does Reem do, and why did you guys get involved with it? Why did you start it? Are you the founding members of it?
No, we're not.
Not the
It's a
founding
person
members.
called Biza. He's the founding member of Reem. He's actually from Regenbach, and he's the founding member of Reem.
Biza. I'm from Regenbach.
Julian, elderly guy, grey, stays by the flat somewhere.
Is it?
Yeah, he's actually the founding member of Reem.
No, I don't. I know, we probably all know each other, it's just... Yeah. But maybe I'm a bit younger too, so I don't know you say it's how old? 60, 50, 60?
What, late 50s?
Late 50s.
Yeah, he could be early 60s.
Yeah, no, I'm about 38, if I can say that. Some people are going to say you look older than now.
You just outgrown yourself.
Yeah. So maybe you could tell us why you guys got involved and what does Reem do?
Basically, like I said, my name is Sadick Sallie. I am an entrepreneur and also a business owner of an accredited training company called Ikram Development Consulting, focusing on business development as well as accredited training, accredited with a few CETAs as well as QCTO, where I just feel the need actually was there for our communities, especially the colored Indian communities, to get somebody from the inside to assist them actually up developing either their businesses or themselves to become more employable, as well as to be able to start their own businesses. So with Reem and with the racial exclusion on employment equity, I just felt that my contribution from my professional point of view would add value to the organization. That's why I got involved with Reem. By adding myself and even all the resources that's at my disposal to our communities to assist them in not just alleviating poverty, but to make each and every individual self-sustainable, employable, as well as an entrepreneur in his own right. So that was my contribution that I feel I can still contribute to, not just in the communities, but holistically in South Africa. And that is my involvement in Reem. Aisha?
So, I'm very passionate about justice and fairness. And when I saw this bill and how it's going to actually affect our colored people in the long run, I was on WhatsApp one day and I saw this group being formulated and I said, guys, I'm in here.
When was this? How many years ago?
No, it was probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Oh, so you're quite new in the movement.
The movement is actually almost about 2 months old.
Oh wow!
So we were.
I'm thinking like a few years, 5 years.
No, the movement.
Oh, so they're getting you guys just when you're getting started.
On the inception of this, basically, and I said, guys, I'm in. I'm bringing my skills, I'm bringing my knowledge. So currently on Reem, we've got 3 legally trained professionals that's assisting the movement from a legal perspective, but also in my capacity, I'm a very strategic person, so we look at, where's the gaps in the law, how can we overcome it, and what is the initiatives that we can come, put in place, and that's exactly where Sadick comes in, because as you've heard now, he's a trained skills development facilitator. So when I saw this, it really just ignited the passion in me to say that, you know what, even if it may not affect our generation now, it's definitely going to affect our children and their children in terms of the repercussions of this act. And that's the reason why I'm involved. and also for the greater community. You know, if you look at our colored communities predominantly, the unemployment is so rife. And the amount of people that actually lives in poverty, it's heartbreaking. You know, so it touched the heartstrings for me, you know, and I just thought, you know what, how can I make a difference? Even if it's not going to benefit me, but at least my children and my community.
Yeah. Help those who can't help themselves.
Yes, definitely.
So Reem was just started for the act when the bill was proposed, and then you guys saw that, listen, this is actually evil. This is not good.
Discriminatory to say the least.
It's a reverse apartheid.
Absolutely.
If you would say that,
yes,
it's reverse
exactly
apartheid, because what the ANC fought for was a democracy of liberation. We all equal, and for a while we were all ANC and voting.
I would say on the notion of what you're just mentioning there, like for instance, a statement that I always make, and I make it boldly, with regards to the struggles of liberation within South Africa, how many colored individuals, how many Indian individuals, like for instance today I just found out that the person called Isu Pahad, he passed away at the age of 84. Isu Pahad was also part of this liberation struggle for South Africa and emancipation and everything that every ANC member stood for. Isu Pahad was as well the very same person that was part and parcel of this. But with this employment equity, these kind of people are now marginalized. All the Indians are now marginalized. One sad story as well, every year we celebrate the youth of South Africa and what happened in the likes of June 16. Every year the same people, the same names, the same areas. What about Bonteheuwel? What happened in Bonteheuwel? What about the student uprising in the likes of Cape Town? Never mind Cape Town, let's come to Gauteng. How many individuals, what happened in Westbury High, with Westbury School, Coronation, Eldorado Park, CJP, all that? Nowhere do we hear anything that our colored people was part and parcel of this struggle.
Yeah.
We hear Hector Peterson all the time. Sorry for Hector Peterson, but when are we going to hear things like Ashley Cream? When are we going to have names like those people that died for the struggle as well? We celebrate Youth Day, you just hear African names, black names, and all of those kind of things, as if those people were the only people part and parcel of this struggle. So that part is actually sad. Then we get on to what is currently happening with this employment equity.
Maybe if you can tell us what the Employment Equity Act says, and why you said it's an act now, so it's no longer a bill, it's an act. And maybe explain to us how it became from a bill to an act, and what it says, and then why it's so important, and how is this going to affect us? Because I think most people, like myself, I'm going to ask you, I'm not to put up, even the names you just said now, most of them I don't even know, eh? So I'm also one of those who are a bit, what's the right word to use?
Ignorant.
She had to say
If we have to call it with
the advocate. She just dissed me on her own.
Sorry.
No, but it's true.
It is what it is.
And I think we get caught up in our own lives and in our families, and you want to just make that you're not aware
about your
surroundings and what's going around you. I don't know. Did you know about this, Theo? New color, this is affecting us.
Let me say this. Aisha would maybe elaborate on the process as to where it started and how it actually came to this, and even the dates when it will be implemented. I will actually speak about in a nutshell. The Employment Equity Act, the Amendment Act, basically says the three race groups: Indians, Coloreds, and Whites. 9 provinces, from the likes of Western Cape right down to Limpopo and everything in between. Then you have 18 sectors. 18 sectors is basically every sector within South Africa.
18 sectors.
18 sectors, right down from agriculture right down to the very last sector. So which means the 3 race groups, 9 provinces, 18 sectors. That is how it will be affected. In a nutshell, what it basically says, shying away from the word quotas. a word was used, as a phrase was used, numerical targets. Numerical targets is still measuring where, who must work in what sector. Colored, Indian and white.
Sorry, Sadick, so is this saying that, is it for all sectors, because you're going to probably give us percentages now to say how many black people should be in, or is it different for each 18 sectors, or is it for all these 18 sectors we want? I don't know what the percentages are.
Let's shy away from the word percentages. Let's just give it in a nutshell, high level overview of this. If you are colored and you stay in the likes of the Western Cape because you're overcrowded, you're overpopulated as a color, you basically need to move out of that province because you're part of this numerical targets that was set for your province, and also within that sectors. If I say 18 sectors, just say everything, every sector in South Africa. If you say 18, it means everything. You need to now move out of your area and move to an area where your numbers or the color of your skin is not predominant or is actually not the majority. So if you take the colored from the Western Cape, the colored from Gauteng, the colored from the Northern Cape, there's a lot of them all over there.
Yeah.
Even the Durban Indian. You overcrowded, so you now need to move out of your geographical location to the likes of Limpopo because you're the minority there. To confine one of the 18 sectors where you fit in, based upon your skills, your knowledge and whatever. Take the fisherman from Cape Town. Is there a sea in Limpopo? That's number one. Number two, wholesale and retail. There's predominantly in Cape Town, wholesale and retail there's a lot of opportunities. Most of the Indians in Durban works in manufacturing and they work maybe in various sectors there. Where will an Indian fit in Limpopo? Where will the likes of a colored fit in Limpopo? Never mind the white individuals, but the skills and the knowledge that you have within your community or within the geographical area where you're located, you now need to move out of your comfort and do exactly what the pre-apartheid years was all about. We're going back to the likes of your Stimela. We now need to climb into a train or whatever the railway lines is anyway gone. So we need to move from our areas and go work somewhere else to provide for our families.
But okay, but I think in a simple, let's say now we in Gauteng right now. So let's say there's a job in mining, okay, and they need 100 people in mining. How would they split the percentages to say black people? Do they? I'm not sure. Would the X say black people get 75% of those jobs, coloreds get 5%, Indians get 5%, and whites get 5%? How's the percentages, or is it different in every sector?
Different sector, different targets. There is actually, as part of the Amendment Act, there is like a target, actually a page in the legislation to say what is the targets per geographical location, per sector, per race category.
It's a complicated thing, eh?
It is very complicated, if I must say that, but in a nutshell, this is just us reliving the likes of 1950s, where you need to now move away, not by force, by means of a document. You need to now move away from your area into another area
where there's less colored people.
Exactly.
So if there's less colored people, you have a better chance of getting the job, because colored there's 5% of the employment for that sector.
You can say that.
To colored people. So if there's less, there's a better chance of you getting a job in there. Where if you go to Cape Town, most of them are colored people, and they still would Cape Town be more jobs allocated to colored people because in the Northern Cape, because there's no
there is zero jobs available for them. That's what the legislation says. You overcrowded. You must now step aside so that other people can get opportunities.
Oh, you guys currently have most of the jobs.
So you need to step aside so that the black African can actually work there.
Okay.
So whatever work you have in, you now need to have, if maybe your employer, the Act speaks about something like this, if you as an employer have 50 above employees, you now need to set specific targets over the 5-year period so that the likes of your Raymond, your Ibrahim, your Mohammed, even your Ragesh, must get out of your organization through retrenchment within the next 5 years, or you pay penalties for that.
Let's use myself. I've got four permanent employees.
You below the 50.
So it doesn't affect
You don't need to comply. You don't need to comply. There's no target set for you, but you still need to do various other things. You still have to comply based upon your BEE score. Like you must look at the Employment Equity Act. It's not just the one act, it has a ripple effect on various other legislations. Like for instance, Employment Equity Act, everybody assumes that it's only about the word employment and to make sure that the race categories, the equity fits in there. It's not as simple as that. It has the mechanisms like for instance, affirmative action. Affirmative action is a vehicle for employment equity. Now, the other part of employment equity...
Explain to us what affirmative action is, because some of the people might be hearing these things for the first time.
Affirmative action is like a pyramid, in simple terms. It's like a pyramid. The higher you are, the more opportunities you get. Like for instance, affirmative action, you start with an African disabled female. She will be ticked as level 1.
Yeah.
She's first priority. Then you have an African female with no disability. She's option number 2. Then it goes down to the very last one.
White Afrikaans male.
White Afrikaans male.
Yes,
That is basically
you know.
that is the affirmative action. Now, affirmative action is actually also just a vehicle to drive various other legislations. The legislations that affirmative action drives is the broad-based black economic empowerment. Now that has 5 elements: ownership of an organization, management control, preferential procurement, skills development, and social economic development. Now, if employment equity, if you think it's just about an employer and employee relationship and getting the right color in there, let's go further. Ownership of BEE. You now, as the normal layman thinks, if I have a business, I need to just have 51% black owned. Go deeper into the legislation and see it's not just 51. It is actually more than 51% for you to comply. Then you get into management control. Management control starts off from Exco, Menco, and then it goes senior management, junior management, and it goes down to unskilled labor. Now that is where employment equity fits in 100%. If you have say 50 individuals or even more, you now need to move all of those individuals so that majority can be black African. Colored must move out, Indian must move out, white must move out so that you can put African black in. That's management control. Otherwise you're not complying to BEE, you're not aligned to affirmative action, and you're definitely not making the amendment on the employment equity. Then it comes down to the likes of Preferential Procurement Policy Act. That is where the third element of BEE fits in. You as an entrepreneur, you would think BEE affects me only and employment equity does not. I'm not looking for a job.
That's when I heard about it, I thought, I'm
You're
not
an
really looking for a
entrepreneur.
job, so...
Now, in order for you to do business under procurement, if you want to do tenders, if you want to do an RFQ, you want to do a tender, 80-20 and 90-10, you are guided by the Preferential Procurement Policy Act. That basically, if you, the layman's terms for people that who don't know, if it is 80-20, that is anything below a certain amount that goes out as an RFQ, and 90-10 would be your normal tender. It's above a certain amount and you need to comply according to that scoring. 80% of that whole entire tender or RFQ is dependent on the price. The 20% is dependent on your BEE score, and you will get rated according to that. Then you have the 90-10. 90% is your price, 10% is your BEE score. You think you're safe. You now, if they can amend the employment equity, where does a colored, female, disabled fit in? Because this legislation, in a nutshell, is basically...
Because first that was black.
In a nutshell, you're a colored female, you're a colored male, you're Indian male, you're a white male. Affirmative action used to be what we believed it used to be. With this thing being amended, that under the Preferential Procurement Policy Act, you can now say we're looking for African black only. Now, where does the colored fit in under procurement? Where does the Indian fit under procurement? Okay, never mind the white person. But let me ask this other question, not to be racist or anything. All those people, the Verwoerds, the Bodas and all of those people, they dead or they're about to die. Whatever they did to South Africa, unfortunately, if they've done that, we were, how can I say, apartheid and all the ills that came with it. But what about the Davi? What about Johannes? What about Sarki? The ones that was born in the 90s.
Yeah.
What did they do?
My friends, I've got good.
What did
nice
they do?
one.
What did Johannes Stefanus van der Walt do to me? That 15-year-old, that 19-year-old, that 25-year-old, that 30-year-old. What did he do?
Yeah, he didn't do anything. He wasn't even. There's children that are born now, they don't know anything
What did
about
they
it.
do?
And I thought we were supposed to say, okay, 90, these were the ills, okay, we understand it. But that's what Mandela did. To build South Africa, to make it inclusive. We understand, but we forgive.
Based
And we
on,
move
based
on.
on his notion of Invictus, yes. For us to forget about what happened, you mean 30 some odd years later we can still blame apartheid? It's what makes us different from the white person, the Verwoerds and all of those people, if we're doing and we're implementing. In the 2023, we're implementing a bill, an act now, that is exactly the same as the 1950s, that Segregation Act, the Group Segregation Act. What makes us different from any other law where you need to go to, a black person goes into a toilet and the blanca go into his toilet? What's so different about this?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
So when it comes down to the preferential procurement, you're now not going to be seen as a colored only. You're not African black. And they will definitely do your scoring according to that. When it comes down to the other elements, skills development, where there's learnerships, apprenticeships, bursaries, and all of those kind of opportunities. Now they need to look at the numerical targets first before they allocate. So you as a colored person, you're going to stand there in that queue waiting for your application to be considered. You're going to fill in your CV, you're going to fill in your CV, you're going to do whatever you have to do. Unfortunately, you're in the wrong location, you're in the wrong race, and you're in the wrong sector. And definitely there's no opportunity for you. So no learnership, no apprenticeship, no artisan, no nothing. Because you no bursaries, no nothing.
And colored youth are really hopeless.
Let me
It's gonna
ask you
make
this.
them more.
Look at the NASFairs, for instance. Go to any university. Go on a Friday afternoon to the shopping center close to the universities. Look at all the beneficiaries sitting at the likes of news cafes with our hard-earned money and actually doing that. How many colored Indians do you see sitting there and benefiting? Look at all those actually university students. If you have the wrong color scheme, the wrong surname, you will be rejected. Now that is already happening. Now with this legislation, what's the chances of you getting a bursary or anything? Then it comes down to the last element of BEE, social economic development. As the legislation says, it's for natural individuals and it is for 75 black beneficiaries. You as an NPO, you as an NGO, you're doing good work in the community. You're helping the people of Mzanzi, whether you don't worry with color. As long as the legislation says black, now where's the sponsorship going to come from? Where's the help going to come from? This company that needs to comply now on a certain percentage to allocate as social economic development, they won't give to the colored. They won't give to that. Everybody will already go to Vilikazi Street.
Yeah.
Because everything that happened in South Africa happened only in Vilikazi Street. My apologies for saying that.
No, go.
But that is exactly where everything in South Africa just happened in Vilikazi Street. Looks like nothing happened in the likes of Fitas, nothing happened in the likes of Albertsville, nothing happened in Sophia Town, nothing happened in Kofifi, nothing happened in Madlera, nothing happened in the likes of Eldorado Park. There's nothing. We were just placed there and that is where it was. Look at BEE, look at all the legislation. if we don't stand up against this bill, what's going to happen to the colored, the Indian community and the white community?
I think that's what but firstly I want to ask, maybe I'll ask Aisha, why did they introduce this? Or what's the motive? Why? There's something in the back that they want to achieve. And the ANC proposed this. And firstly, why did they propose it? And why did the other parties agree to it? Where's the PA? The PA started out as a colored party. Did they challenge it? The DA's Cape Town is majority colored. ACDP, there's all these other parties, Freedom Front Plus. So why did the ANC propose this? Why did it pass? And then maybe after that we can go to what can we do to fight it, to create our own economy, whatever it is. But I think let's start with the first one. Why would they want to separate us like that and create division?
So, Leroy, according to my humble understanding, if I read the amendments to the Employment Equity Act, it basically says that these 18 sectors that Sadick just mentioned now has not reached their targets. And remember now we're 30 years into democracy. So according to the understanding or the reason put forth is that certain sectors has not complied with the EE stats, according to government. Whether this is politically driven or not, I can't answer for that. But what I can say is that, as Sadick rightfully earlier said, that it is clearly one in the least discriminatory and violation of so many constitutional rights. Denies our people the right to employment. It literally strips us of human dignity, if you look at it just from a legal perspective. Now, what they are trying to achieve by this, I cannot answer that. But I can tell you what the effects is going to be of this, as Sadick said, from not only the statistical point of view. One, if you look at our colored communities, unemployment is already so rife. Two, the social ills of substance abuse, domestic violence, not that it doesn't happen in other areas, but now already we're sitting with all the social ills as the status quo is currently. Can you imagine what is going to happen if that one sole breadwinner, which is a colored, is now going to be pushed out of a job and won't be able to fend for their kids now?
And the young people that can't find jobs now.
Exactly. So now you're going to sit with households of 4, 5, maybe even 10, 15 people in a home trying to survive on what? Grants, charity. How low and how much more must you strip people's dignity? If the government cannot see this, and if they do not realize that, you know what, our colored people fought alongside them for liberation. We fought hand in hand. My brother was one of the people that was actually arrested in the 1976 riots, where my parents had sleepless nights, because remember that was in the heart of apartheid. And if you were locked up for those type of crimes those days, your chances, remember what happened to Mandela, I mean he was on Robben Island when you were locked up for those type of crimes. So the nightmares that our parents has gone through, for us to have a little bit, a slice of the cake, must now also be taken away from us. Now you ask yourself, why do you want to achieve this?
Yeah.
Why?
It's cool, it's evil actually.
You know, I'm going to be very frank, Leroy. You know, in the black communities, there's a notion of expand the population. I say 15 children, 20 children, whatever. So can we really be blamed for the fact that we are sitting with so many unemployed or poor blacks? Why must that come at the expense of the colored person, or the Indian person, or the white person for that matter? Why must their advancement come at our expense with this act? The second question was?
You know what Aisha mentioned there, let me put it actually in one simple question. Not to any political party, but let's put it out to government. Because the government is actually who implemented this. Government is a collection of a whole lot of political parties. My question to them would be the very same question that I normally ask. Senzanina, what have we done? What have we done? We were the very same people that were singing this song from the 1970s and beyond. Our grandparents, our family members, our uncles and all of those individuals. We're not going to mention what we've done, but the question comes down and who has done it, whether it was our family members, whether it was whoever. But the question remains, since the beginning of time with the apartheid government, were there only one race singing the song Senzanina? Where was the likes of the Indian? Where was the likes of the colored? We were brothers and sisters knitted like a rope that cannot be broken. We were chains and actually we were doing the very same things collectively. Now because you have now moved and broken the chains or actually broken the rope, now we're asking the very same question that we were asking collectively as brothers, as sisters, as a unit, asking the white man, what have we done? Now we're asking the very same person that we were doing it to. What have we done? Now the Indian is asking the African black person, Senzanina. The colored is asking the very same question to the African black person that was his brother yesterday. Senzanina, what have we done?
But don't they take it as under apartheid, colored people and Indian people lived slightly better, had slightly better, what's the right word?
They had a little bit of comfort.
Slightly better, yeah, not but little better than the black. And now it's like some people still say, hey, you guys lived better. You guys were
let me ask you this, because if that is the notion and that is the question and that is the statement, let me actually speak on behalf of myself. I might not have been there in 1976, but my family members has been and have been. Myself, I grew up in a place called, the first address that I knew was 2077 Litanka Street, Western Colored Township. What was so different in 2077 Litanka Street, Western Colored Township than Alexandra, Soweto and all the other places? Number one, we all had, whether you say Soweto, whether you say Alex, whether you say whatever area, every area had 1, 2 kind of police officers that was making sure that those people in that area stayed and knew their rights and the passes and everything. Yes, I maybe might not have a dom pass, but we had 2 people. I still had nightmares on this of this. Number one, there was a person called Bastay.
How old are you?
Me, I'm 45. We have a person like Bastay. We have another police officer called Munari. Those were the 2 people that when we see this yellow, Ford Granada, you need to move your steps a little bit faster.
Yeah.
When you saw a police van, the yellow, what we used to call mellow yellow, you now need to have a sprint in your step. When we see the Casper, the big ones, you now need to know you need to lay flat on the ground and hope that actually nothing's going to happen in your house. That is what I know. What was so different to say that we had something better?
Can I just add to what he's saying? So, I remember one day when I was still employed, I had this debate with one of my black colleagues. They truly have the notion that colors had it better in the apartheid era. And I sat him down and I said to him, you know what, I remember my dad telling us stories of how the non-whites had to go to the back of the shop to go and buy. When you go to certain recreational areas, it was blacks, whites only. When you go in a bus, blacks, whites only. Even myself, when I just started entering the workforce, I remember there was a place where the whites only had to go sit and the non-whites had to sit. But going back to being at school, I remember I was a top student at school. I applied to study chemical engineering as a colored female. It was a passion and I was going to really make a success out of it. But you know what was my responses from all my companies that I applied for? Sorry, whites only. I remember the time when my sister was just a bit older than me, when she started looking for work, when she applied to the banks, sorry, whites only. So how did we have it better than the black person? Were we not also denied the same things that they were denied? We were segregated by the whites in our different colored, black, white townships. It wasn't our doing. So how exactly did we have it better when we were denied the same opportunities, the same
benefits,
prospects of having a better life? I mean, if you look at our parents, for example, the best professions that they could go in was teaching, nursing, seamstresses, leave school standard 8, standard 6, upholsters. If you were a teacher in those days, you were regarded as one of the most highly qualified.
Policemen.
You understand what I'm saying?
So, to that, let's say blacks, Indians, and coloureds were only good to become welders, not boilermakers.
Yeah. I won't say boilermakers, but I know most of my uncles were
welders. They were not supposed to be boilermakers. Let's say my father and people like my father were standing in the very same queue and actually with the Manpower Act, where they were told you cannot do that.
And the one or two that became boilermakers was a big thing. It was
Let me add on to what I was telling you about the responses I got from the people that I applied for bursaries. Because remember, our parents couldn't afford those things. You know, you had to either go for a teacher or apply for government bursary or try private sector for bursaries. Sorry, whites only. Now coming back to how our system was designed in the apartheid era. I remember we did things like maths and science at school. So we were part of a program called Protec, where the top maths and science students was selected from various coloured schools to compete against the different, it's now provinces. Back in the day it was called what? Old Transvaal.
To make Transvaal, then you get a jacket for that and
that. Yes, my sister, she has a lot of those. Transvaal. She was good in sport, and then she has.
So you had the Department of TDE, and what was the white Department of Education, and the coloured, and then the black Department of Education. We didn't have one as we have it now.
Coloured affairs.
Yes. So I remember this one year they brought us higher grade maths and science papers from the white Transvaal education system to the coloured as part of our prep for the exams.
Was it different? The curriculum was different?
I'm going to get it.
Oh, sorry.
So they gave us a higher grade maths paper for the TDE maths to us as the coloured. We gave our standard grade paper to them. All of us passed their higher grade paper. They couldn't do our standard grade paper. So what do you think, what did the white government do? They deliberately made the education system in such a way that it advances the whites and forces the non-whites into cheap labor. Why do you think was it so prevalent for whites to have 6, 7, 8 distinctions? Even the Indians.
Yeah.
And coloureds, if a coloured had distinctions, then you must know that my is baie bright.
Dis die eerste keer wat ek hier hoor. So dit was easier.
Their system was designed to give them access to university, better education, better prospects of a better life.
Yeah.
The non-whites, and that includes coloureds and blacks, their system was designed under more difficult to keep them in a blue-collar job.
Sure. We went to school to.
Sorry guys, I'm a bit younger. I missed apartheid. I missed all of this. So.
No, you didn't miss it. You just didn't have the side effects of it.
You know, if you might say, let me give you one example I'm thinking about for myself as well. There's an area called Westdean. In 1985, there was this big double-decker bus that actually plunged into the dam where a whole few foreign to school students died in that bus. That was a dam, a public dam for anybody to go to, up until today as well. In, I think, say late 80s. We were caught at a dam, me and a couple of friends of ours. We actually tried to get some crabs. And in school, we did a subject called music where you had to ta. That is how we were actually taught how to do music. And group of white guys got us there and they were ta. We had to smack each other like that to make that same effect the sound. And that is because Busman on Sukilani Dam. That was one of those things. What separated us was the likes of on Deckers. Westbury, on Deckers, Westdean. You knew you're not supposed to cross that line. Now my question is, what benefits did we have as colored? I'm talking about myself. Speaking about people older than myself. What benefits did they get? Were we not also the pen test, the gun test? Look at our IDs. Look at the numbers at the last points of our numbers, because your hair was not so straight, you were supposed to be this. If your gums, if you had a lighter complexion, they looked at your gums to see if there's any spots to classify you as a certain color. Your hair, if your mother had maybe a little bit of harda, then you classified as a certain group, but your father is a different group, and you were treated as such.
So saying we suffer the same ills, we should have the same benefits now. We should be rewarded on merit and not skin color.
Exactly. The only reason why I think they would say that we had a better life, if I just use the Department of Education, which we know now is the Department of Education, back then, our government allocated funds for schooling. So for example, the white child got 25 Rand per child, the colored child got 10 Rand, the black child got 2 Rand. In terms of education, or what the government would pay per child. That would be the only thing that I would say we had a little bit better. Other than that, we were denied the same opportunities, we were denied the same access to workplace, we were denied the same access to bursaries and those types of housing. It was white, non-white. There was no such thing as white, colored, black and Indian. Either you were white or you were non-white. Period.
So my next question is: so the bill has passed. It's an act now. Can it be withdrawn? Can it be? What can be? And then I want to say is why do you think the other parties went with it? Because couldn't they have stopped it? Couldn't the PA or the DA or any of these other parties have stopped it?
Some political parties have put in, there is cases actually going on at this present moment. But to say the least, the 1st of September, this whole entire thing is going to be implemented. We can now fight the fines that will come. But what we will do is we will still, as Reem, we're also putting a case, we're actually also going to be enlarging our case and making sure that whatever we can challenge on this legislation, we will definitely do that. In our right, yes, the likes of Solidarity, they have reached a settlement agreement last week, I think. They've reached a settlement agreement, but that is only for protection of the people that's in the workplace.
What do you mean they've reached a settlement agreement?
Settlement agreement on the act for people not to be removed out of their jobs.
So currently they cannot remove anyone.
So let me first take you one step back. So before a bill becomes an act, before a bill becomes an act, the Constitution has a process that it actually outlines in the Constitution as to what process needs to be followed in order for it to become a valid act. One of those processes is that there must be public participation. So if you've seen Sadick's interview about 2-3 weeks ago on ANC, he actually mentioned there that as far as we are concerned, there has been no public participation in order for this to become a valid act. So that's the one thing. The second thing is, yes, it can be challenged because it did not follow that process, right? A couple of weeks ago, there was actually one of the acts, I think it was the Khoisan Act, where it actually went up to the Constitutional Court, where lack of public participation was also absent there, and it was declared as invalid.
Oh, okay. So there's still hope.
There is recourse. However, like Sadick said now, if you look at the settlement agreement that was reached between government and Solidarity, it predominantly protects the currently economically active population.
And what about your grandchild? What about your child? What about the generations to come? What protection are there? What mechanisms are in place for BEE not to marginalize the colored, the Indian? Sorry to say this, the white have their people that looks after them. The white have their solidarity.
So they have their organization.
They have their organization, AfriForum, they have their solidarity. The Indian, the white, the Indian and the colored. What's going to happen to our children, our great-grandchildren and children to come with this legislation? Must all our children be drug addicts? Must all our children be drug smugglers? Is that the only kind of opportunity that they must go to? Is this the life of crime the only solution for the country?
That's going to increase.
Now what we as REEM trying to do, we would like to create opportunities for our people, because it's no use we just jump on the wagon and then also become SAA employees and complain. We must work on solutions going forward. We have put our resources together, skills development. We have put entrepreneurial skills. We have business ventures that we're going to be embarking upon for our people, by our people. And we as the legal team of REEM as well, we have worked out solutions so that we can get businesses who is forced by this legislation to make sure that they comply with legislation. We have solutions where they don't need to worry with the penalties. They don't need to worry with that. We have our legal team worked out solutions within this legislation because number one, we coloreds. We made a plan to look for the gaps within this legislation, and that is what we're going to teach our people, how to bypass this law legally.
Sure.
And the solutions that we as REEM offering, we're encouraging businesses that's above 50, that is white owned, Indian owned and colored owned. Approach us, let us come and work with you so that you can actually make sure that while we're fighting this legislation, you can operate 100%. Because one sad part about it as well, they've now also increased labor inspectors just because of this legislation. They're creating more work for police dogs to come and watch people not comply. Instead of getting people jobs, they're now employing more inspectors to come and see who's not compliant.
This is going to divide the country. We're already divided, eh?
And you know the sad thing about this is, Leroy, our economy is already
where it is
in the gutter. Can you imagine if, because of this act, a lot of employers are going to close down business now because of non-compliance of this act?
Yeah.
Where is it going to push our economy further down the gutters?
And they're going to leave. More white people are going to leave.
What is it going
More
to do
colored
to
people are going to
investment?
leave. Brain drain. They're going to close.
What is it going to
capital.
do to investment? Because if you look at, already we're sitting with a competency deficit in our country.
Yeah.
Already we're sitting with a bunch of so many incompetencies, whether it be from top down. Now imagine we have foreign investors wanting to invest in our country, but because we need to now comply with this, I need to put Sadick in that position because Sadick is Joseph or John Sipo or whatever the case may be. But John Sipo does not have the competency to liaise locally and internationally, with all due respect. Let's call a spade a spade. What's going to happen to international investment?
So how do we like people like myself, like Theo, like Leston, guys that are just working, doing our business, how do we
number one,
how do we support, how do we make a difference, what can we do?
What I would say
to
is
help
to start off, to help. First and foremost, before you can even help as a colored Indian and a white, before you can even help REEM, make sure that you protect your home and your plate of food in front of your children's table.
How do you do that?
By means of that, we have solutions, and we as REEM has now put together a law clinic we have put actually our minds together to protect our people. In the workplace, if you're going to get your Section 189, if you're going to get your retrenchment, if you're going to have your labor case against your employer because of this unfair discrimination, we're there to assist and to help and to guide and to provide you with free legal assistance and advice. That is one for the employed person. For you that's an entrepreneur that would like to start your own little chapter and make sure that you're still compliant with the law and do the right thing for your plate of food in front of your children's table. We have put certain things in place where we have certain skills and acumens that we can give you certain qualities, certain skills, certain attitudes, certain knowledge on accredited, programs, so that you can know how to go about making sure you have that plate of food still on your children's table. You that's above 50 and need to comply with legislation, approach REEM. We have the expertise so that we can provide you with a solution and you stick to your business while we protect you and make sure that we use whatever knowledge, skills we have to make sure you don't worry with this bill. We will provide you with solutions because we have solutions.
So how do we do that? So I would contact you, obviously you're going to give us all your contact.
Yes.
I would contact you, get in touch and have a meeting with you and say, Sadick, this is what I'm doing. How do I protect what I currently have?
We will
and
use
how do I grow?
We will use the very same legislation in our own ways with our own solutions to protect you legally and make sure that you focus on making sure the plate of food is on your table and you feed your current employment, your employees. We will make sure that your business runs as smooth as possible. We legally protect you and you worry with business because the main purpose of business is business. Our business is legislation and all those things that we've mentioned. So irrespective of who you are, don't run away and go and immigrate. Don't go and boost other people's economy. Fight this thing. We fight this thing and we will provide you with solutions that is fit for purpose. And this bill or this act is just another hurdle that we already know how to jump over. But we will still fight it and we can provide you with solutions under BEE, under affirmative action, under employment. Even if you need to comply with this numerical targets, you must not at all get rid of the Indian, the colored and the white. Because if that person have the skills, the knowledge and the attitude and he is fit for purpose, keep him there. Keep him there because you cannot go and employ 7 other people that is going to do one person's job because of numerical targets. Keep him there, contact us, we will provide you with the solutions to make sure that you go forth with your business and your plans as is and keep your business in South Africa. We have the team that can work around all of that solutions for you.
That's good news. How do you guys fund the REEM?
Before we go to that question, the second thing that Sadick has maybe just forgotten to mention is that we're also starting a union where it is going to be fighting for our colours. So that's the second thing.
So the union will also be REEM. The REEM, what will they call? REEM.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're still playing around with the name, but that will definitely be in the pipeline as well. Just to add on to what Sadick was saying is, how do we fund? So as you heard earlier, we're fairly new. There's a lot of strategic plans and stuff that we have put in place, but as you know, everything costs money.
Yeah.
So we are looking at sponsorships, donors, people that is passionate about the cause that we're fighting for. If those people can come on board, they can contact our treasurer and, we welcome the sponsors. And
you see, let me say this even. We encourage big businesses. We're talking about not your EMEs only, but we're talking about your QSEs, your large entities under the BEE umbrella. Let us come and do the consulting fee. We're not going to stand there and actually ask for donations only. Let us provide you with a solution. Let us provide you with a service. In exchange, you might call it as a donation. We will charge you much less than what any other consultant will actually do. And we will protect you the very same way under all these legislations at a much reduced cost. You call it a service fee, we would call it a funding mechanism to push our agenda forward. So we're not asking for donations only. If you feel that you want to give a sponsorship or give a donation, by all means do that. But we're not there for the handouts. We want to use our skills, our knowledge, our accreditation, our affiliation, and our association in exchange for whatever we're going to protect you.
That's good. And like, so you guys are similar to Solidarity to every forum.
We can say we're not just a union, we actually much more than that. If our union is established by the end of this week, which is tomorrow, we just have to serve 1 or 2 paperwork that needs to be done. Once the union is there, we have a law firm, we have an accredited training company, we have BEE accredited consultants, we have investment portfolios, we have acumens and skills and competencies that any, not just a union, but any complete business solution can offer you out there.
Like when we talk about funding, I support Solidarity. I pay 100 rand or 150, and they phone in. Now they're doing insurance. They phone you for insurance. They got the union, and they phone me. And I thought, you know what? These guys are doing work that I can't do. Give me little, pay 100 rand.
Let me tell you.
Are you guys gonna have that same model as well?
We're hoping to not just have that model, but hoping to have a much better model. We are hoping to not just be able to say we're doing good work for you. We would like to be up in your face. We would like to be up in your community. We would like to be up in your business. Whatever you need, whether you want to go through the likes of a divorce, we're there to help you. We have the acumen, we have the knowledge, we have the skill, we have the competency. If you're there with actually a rehabilitation issue with your child, we would like to know about it. If you have maybe a substance abuse, in a person with substance abuse in your community or in your house or whatever, we're going to want to provide a solution for that, because we might not help you personally, but we can refer. We want you to look at your Maslow's hierarchy of needs, from physiological right up to the likes of self-esteem. If you have a need, because number one, employment equity is removing the physiological need and making that gap even bigger for our colored community. Number two, safety and security. With this bill or this legislation, there is no safety and security, because with this bill being passed and being an act, you're going to feel unsafe in your homes. People are already feeling unsafe in their homes because of poverty. Look at, for instance, what's this lady's name? Ellen Pakis. How many Ellen Pakis are there in the communities of coloreds already? How many Indian Ellen Pakis are there in the communities in India, where a woman feels she needs to kill her own child to protect herself because of substance abuse? Those are the things we would like to help our community with. Then we go down to love and belonging. Love and belonging, we want our people to know that they don't have to go to your normal unions and those people, because number one, the only thing that you go to a union is they march only for the majority. Only for what they believe in. Who's there for the colored? Who's there for the Indian? You're not going to get your Kusatus running for an Indian or a colored.
So if I'm a black woman or black guy, can I also join?
Most definitely. Our cause is not to marginalize anybody any further. If you're sympathetic to the movement of Reem and you're an African, by all means, wala. Number two, my family. Don't be fooled by this kind of things. I have Xhosa family, the whole entire Kroonstad, Bloemfontein are full of them. We all have mixed races, because believe me, you can't actually say, I'm colored, I'm black, I'm this, I'm that. We are there for the people, by the people, and for any race, gender, creed, even if you're albino.
That's good stuff.
So just to add on to what Sadick is saying there, I don't know if you remember that incident that went viral 2-3 days ago about those 3 kids that was assaulted on the highway.
I've with the blue.
With the
I saw the
VIP
clip.
unit.
I saw the clip.
So those were one of the initiatives where Reem was like, not in our name. We're not going to allow this type of things to happen. But like Sadick is saying, it's outreach to the community bigger than just
employment equity.
It is the passion for our people that is driving us. It is the hearts of our people that we want to see grow to the next level.
Praise the Lord. You guys are doing good work. Well done, and Keep up the good work. Maybe if you guys can. But before, I read a scripture the other day, and I don't know what religions you are, Christians are, the Bible, and I think it was Romans, Theo, and we read a scripture, and it says that there's neither Jew nor Greek, neither slave nor free. We are all one under Christ. And it's too, and we're so divided by racial lines. And that scripture actually, obviously, different people believe different, have different belief systems. But for me, that scripture meant that we all one. And there's no white, black, colored, Indian. We all one.
And if you look at some of the NPOs, or most of the NPOs, whether it be white, colored, Indian, there's no differentiation between feeding a black child, feeding a colored child, feeding an Indian child. It's a child.
Yeah.
And that is the mindset that we need to have. With this bill, now you have to look at people. Oh, you white. Oh, you Indian. Oh, you black. You brought this upon us. We've moved past that 30 years ago to look at each other based on the color of our skin. When are we going to move into a space to say that, you know what, your problem is my problem, your challenge is my challenge, irrespective of whether you're colored, white, Indian or black? Why must we always try and bring people down in order to shine up?
You know, from a religious point of view, seeing that you've mentioned religion, we do not want to segregate anybody. I'm a Muslim, Aisha is Muslim, we have Christians, we have different kind of things. We have people from a Hindu point of view, our REEM followers or REEM leadership in KwaZulu-Natal, they Hindus. Whether it's a vanakom, whether it's a salam alaikum, whether it's a hello, whether it is in Nkulunkulu Mudimu Jehovah Allah Jah or Shalom or whatever, I say we stand united in the name of God. Because God created all men equal. We cannot actually differentiate and make politics break our principles and our values. Our values are as follows, and my values personally is, number one, as a Muslim, no other religion, if I might verbalize it in this way, no other religion give a status to a person like the Quran would. The Quran gives actually the hadiths. There's a person called Bilal radiallahu anhu. That was a man, they described him in a way that they say he's darker than 7 nights. Now if you're dark as 7 nights, you can imagine who swart as man.
Yeah.
And that man's status has been elevated where there's mentioned that his footsteps was heard in paradise. If I'm a Muslim, I must not have a race between the line. If you are Christian, you must not have a race between the line. Let's call a spade a spade. If you take into apartheid, what happened? A lot of people would say the white man came to come and give a white Jesus. Read the Bible properly, you will see there's no white Jesus. That man had hair like wool, and he had like a reddish kind of a color, and what it is, if we believe in the same God, we as Muslims believe in the same Jesus, we believe in the very same Adam up until the last messenger of God, why must the very same person that believes he's a South African, is a God-fearing person, he must come and divide us? So no religion can divide us, because the difference between Christianity and Islam is as thin as a paper. Question is, what are we going to do as a community? Christian, Muslim, white, Indian and colored. Are we going to let a piece of paper divide us even further, or are we going to stand together?
And I think black people should also fight against this. Why would obviously if you are but it just divides us. I think it's divide and conquer. They want to divide us further. So because there's power in unity.
Absolutely.
It says a house divided will not stand.
Yeah.
A country divided will also not stand. So as they divide us further, they can the top guys can keep doing, because we keep fighting each other. We're busy fighting each other. Yeah.
And I think that is exactly coming back to your first question, what they were hoping they're going to achieve. Ignorance. As long as you are enslaved with ignorance, you will not have knowledge. So the more people that are aware of the hidden demonic force behind this bill, call it what it is.
Yeah.
It is a demonic force coming from the top. Divide, conquer, chaos. So the more people that can understand that, how many people are, let me just take you, how many people have now interracial marriages?
Sure, a lot.
Black and white, Indian and white.
Yeah, it's happening more and more.
So what do you think what's going to happen to the colored race?
We're going to grow,
from
yeah.
now, 20 years
Everyone's
from
going to
now?
be colored in 50 years.
We're going to be a colored state.
Yeah.
If it goes at this rate. So think about 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You don't know what your destiny is going to be. You that's unmarried or single or still looking out there.
Yeah.
You don't know what child you're going to have in 5, 10 years from now. If we allow this to take effect, never say it's not going to knock on your door or it's not going to have an effect on you.
Talking about 2 daughters, I have 2 daughters as well. My eldest daughter is actually engaged to a Zulu guy. My second eldest daughter, she is now also dating a black guy as well. So my question is, if I'm so racist, supposed to what this bill is going to make me be, what's going to happen to my grandchildren? Must I now hate them because their fathers are black? What's happening with my grandfather? Was my grandfather supposed to hate me because I'm colored and he's Xhosa? This bill is actually forcing people to now go back to history and reintroduce apartheid, not only just in the country, but introducing apartheid in our homes.
In our families.
Sure.
That is the sad part about it. But as I would say in conclusion, there's a saying in Arabic that says, Rabbi zidni ilma warzuqni fahma. I only ask for God to increase our knowledge as coloreds, Indians, and as whites, and provide us with understanding on this legislation. If we understand this legislation for what it is, then we will come to realize that this thing is going to kill our families. It's going to mean the end of our household. It's going to provide things like there's going to be even more social ills coming from this bill, because what is a man that is actually sitting at home and not providing for his family? That person is useless. There will definitely come divorce. There will come more social ills in our community. Your father, this bill will remove respect from father to son, because you can't do anything for us. You can't do.
Mother look at the child not being able to feed the child
because
this bill
it's
has now.
deeper than, and as I said, I heard about it, but I'm actually, thanks for bringing understanding.
I think it's important, Leroy, that a lot of people must really educate themselves about not just the employment equity bill, even the Bella bill. I'm not sure if you heard about the Bella bill.
You told me about it before this.
The Bella bill is even more scarier than this. The Bella bill is going to be, with all due respect, your religious beliefs and what happened. The Bella bill encourages what happened with Lot, Sodom and Gomorrah. If you are Christian, your child will definitely be taught what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah in Babylon. Babylon will be taught in schools. That is what the Bella bill basically says. And there was one video clip where they already introduced something like the Bella bill, where when the kindergarten children, they mentioned something Golova, means kriva. The small kindergarten child grabs he grabs the girl on her leg, she keeps her hand on the table, and the teacher screams Golova again. And he's like doing his thing, and they clapping hands.
Not just that, it also strips the parent from their parental rights over that child, giving government power over your child, making sure that they can, if you do not send your child to school, that you can actually get arrested.
Now, how far is that? Maybe we should, you know what, I think because we've run slightly over time
Let's
now.
do that on another
Can
time.
we do that again? And because there's so much to cover, we don't have enough time for actually just the Employment Act. We still need to go further, and then maybe cover the Bella Act the next time we
can
meet.
definitely.
How do we
that.
support you guys? Where do we find you? How do we support you? Some people are saying, listen, I didn't know about this. Now I know you guys have opened my eyes. I want to join you in this fight. I want to support you financially.
For now, what we can do is actually get in contact with us via WhatsApp or onto our website. REEM, REEM.co.za is our web address.
Say that again. We're gonna put that on the screen.
REEEM.co.za.
Yeah.
There is our website. Or you can contact myself or Aisha and we can link you onto our groups. We have groups right across South Africa and still growing. We have provincial groups, we have local groups, and we have actually, let's say local, and we have national groups as well. National, provincial, as well as local groups. We would like to actually say maybe we can, if you're from Gauteng, we can add you to the Gauteng group. If you're from Durban, we add you to Durban. Wherever the province is, we will actually link you to that group, and you can, whatever you would like to do, sponsor us, be part of the movement. Speak to the administrators, because all the administrators on our group is actually the interim board members on all the groups. So
and this is not a political party.
Not at all.
We're apolitical. We also have international people that's now coming to the forth to actually support us in the initiative and the cause.
Why would international people support us?
We have people from South Africa that is
Oh, okay. I'm talking
that is passionate about
yeah,
what
South
we're
Africans
doing.
that have
Yes.
moved out. Okay.
We have people from Namibia that's actually approached us now. They want to be part of this cause because they understand the
And
cause
one
that
thing-
we're fighting.
One thing we need to make, how can I say, crystal clear, irrespective what kind of colour you are, we encourage you from the koi right down to whatever so-called colour you are. We are not for one or two categories of colours, we for colours holistically. So irrespective of
minority
where
groups.
you're coming from, if we say coloured, brain means, whether you call yourself Khoi, Sam, Nama, or even Busman, whatnot, Malay, Cape Malay.
Concept now divisions of this and on.
We must stop that marginalizing ourselves and actually divide ourselves even further. Reem is for any kind of color. Cape Malay, whatever. Whether you Indian, whether you are Vanako,
Durban.
whether you...
The Durbanite?
Yeah.
we encourage, we would like to say, come one, come all.
Come all. Even if you Indian, if you white,
Even
if
if
you
you
black,
black,
come.
If
We
you
say-
understand our cause and what we're fighting for,
Come.
please support.
Support, guys. Sadick,
Parole,
brother,
thank you very
great
much for
work you
that.
guys are doing. Aisha,
And
Nice
thank you
meeting
very
you.
much for
thanks for
having
coming.
us.
We
Much
appreciate your time. We know you guys are busy, and yeah, man, you're doing the Lord's work here.
Amen.
Amen.
So all the best, and yeah, guys, we'll see wherever we can support or help or whatever it is from our side as well.
100%. What I suggest we do, maybe if Aisha, we can just give our telephone numbers,
Sure.
and then we can add it to
Yeah, we'll put it on the screen.
communication. Yes, please. Your number, Aisha?
081 782 0783.
Yeah, but phone for Reem.
Okay, my number is 082 878 1786. WhatsApp and normal calls.
Okay, so wherever you are in South Africa, you're watching this, Cape Town, Durban, Joburg, guys, get in touch because this is going to affect everyone in
Definitely.
South Africa. God bless you. See you soon.
Thank you.